Ma'am, I need to see your identification.
Officer, I'm Teresa Johnson. I'm an attorney. I just finished a client meeting. Is there a problem?
Step outside, now.
I'm a U.S. citizen. Here's my passport.
Fake documents. Turn around.
The handcuffs clicked. Her client started crying. Someone dialed 911. Body cameras were rolling. Agent Derek Hollis had just arrested an immigration lawyer in her own office. 12 hours of detention, an $80.2 million lawsuit, a career destroyed. What he didn't know was that every second was being recorded, and the woman in handcuffs knew exactly which laws he just violated. This is the story of a lawyer arrested while defending immigrants, and the footage that proves citizenship means nothing when an officer decides you don't belong. Before we continue, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, subscribe. Stories like these need to be told, and your support brings truth to light. Teresa Ramirez Johnson stood on the front steps of her law office building in Little Havana, going over final instructions with her client. It was 5:15 on a Wednesday afternoon rush hour traffic building on Southwest 8th Street. People heading home from work, the smell of Cuban coffee drifting from Versailles cafeteria next door. Maria Rodriguez clutched her folder nervous. What if ICE stops me? Teresa kept her voice calm, the same tone she used for hundreds of clients over 12 years of practice. Demand to see the warrant. Make sure it has your name on it, not someone else's name, your exact name. Maria nodded, still scared. Teresa was 44 years old. She'd handled 847 successful green card cases since opening her practice. Miami Bar Association had given her their Pro Bono Award in 2022 for the free legal work she provided to families who couldn't afford attorneys. Her daughter, 16, was applying to colleges, writing essays about how her grandmother came to America undocumented in 1985, terrified for 7 years until she got her green card in 1992. That fear had shaped Teresa's entire career, helping families like her parents once were. 3 black SUVs pulled up to the curb. 6 ICE agents stepped out, body cameras activated. The lead agent, Derek Hollis, walked straight toward Teresa, holding a piece of paper. People on the sidewalk stopped. Phones came out. Teresa Rodriguez. Teresa turned, still holding Maria's folder. I'm Teresa Ramirez Johnson. That's my client, Maria Rodriguez. Hollis barely glanced at Maria. I need to see your identification. Teresa reached into her bag, pulled out her U.S. passport, handed it to him. Hollis looked at the passport for 3 seconds. These documents can be faked. Immigration lawyers know all the tricks. Turn around. Maria's face went white. The receptionist pressed against the glass door inside. A woman across the street started recording on her phone. Teresa stood perfectly still, her mind already calculating which laws Hollis was about to violate. She did not know the cameras would save her. Teresa's voice stayed level, the same tone she used in courtroom arguments. Officer, under the Immigration and Nationality Act, Section 287A, you need a warrant that identifies the specific person you're detaining. This warrant says Teresa Rodriguez, age 35. I'm Teresa Ramirez Johnson, age 44. Different person. I'm a United States citizen. I'm an attorney. You can verify all of this with one phone call. Hollis stepped closer. You people always hide behind the law. That's what immigration lawyers do. You help illegals fake documents, coach them on what to say, and when we show up, you pull out your law books. The words hung in the air. People on the sidewalk had stopped walking. 8, maybe 10 witnesses now. The receptionist inside grabbed her phone, dialed 911. Her voice carried through the glass door. They're arresting my boss on the street. She's a U.S. citizen. She's an attorney. They won't listen. 2 people across the street were recording on their phones. A man in a business suit stopped his car at the red light window down, filming. An elderly Cuban woman from the cafeteria next door walked toward them. I know her. She's a lawyer. She helped my son. One of the other ICE agents moved to intercept her. Ma'am, step back. The woman kept coming. She's a good person. Why are you doing this? The agent put his hand up, physically blocking her path. Step back now or you'll be arrested for interfering with federal officers. She stopped but didn't leave. 3 body cameras were recording. Teresa could see the small lights blinking on each agent's chest. She pointed directly at Hollis's camera. You're violating my 4th Amendment rights. Everything you're doing right now is being recorded. You're detaining me without probable cause. You haven't verified my identity. You haven't confirmed the warrant matches the person standing in front of you. Hollis's face didn't change. I don't care about cameras. I don't care about your amendments. I have a job to do, and right now that job is bringing you in for verification. The shift in his voice told Teresa everything. He wasn't going to back down. Pride had taken over. Maria stood frozen on the steps, still holding her folder. Tears started running down her face. She was helping me. She was just helping me understand my rights. Hollis turned toward her. You're next if you don't shut your mouth and step away from this situation. Maria took 2 steps back, shaking. Teresa looked directly into Hollis's body camera. This is your last chance to verify who I am. 1 phone call to the federal courthouse. 1 database search. That's all it takes to avoid a catastrophic mistake. Hollis pulled out his handcuffs. Last warning, turn around, hands behind your back. Teresa turned slowly. The handcuffs clicked around her wrists. The sound cut through the street noise. Traffic stopped. A woman gasped. Someone's phone camera flash went off. 6 cameras were recording now. 3 body cameras. 2 phones across the street. The security camera above the door. Hollis gripped Teresa's arm, started walking her toward the SUV. She had to pass directly in front of her office building. The glass doors. The lobby where her receptionist stood crying. The wall where her law degree hung. 12 people had gathered on the sidewalk now, watching a federal agent march a lawyer in handcuffs through her own neighborhood. Maria ran down the steps. Attorney Johnson, please. She didn't do anything. Another agent blocked Maria's path. Stay back. Maria was sobbing now, loud enough that people in the cafeteria came to the windows. The owner, 70-year-old Carlos Menendez, stepped outside, his phone already up, already live streaming to Facebook. They're arresting Teresa Johnson, the lawyer, right here on 8th Street. She's in handcuffs. His voice shook with anger. Teresa could see herself reflected in the glass door as Hollis walked her past. A 44-year-old woman in professional clothes, handcuffed. Her bar license visible on the wall behind the receptionist's desk, exactly where it had hung for 12 years. The irony burned. Hollis opened the back door of the SUV, put his hand on Teresa's head, guided her into the back seat. The same motion he'd performed hundreds of times with actual suspects. The door slammed. The metal mesh barrier separated her from the front seats. The smell hit her immediately. Stale air, fear, the residue of everyone who'd sat here before her. The SUV pulled away from the curb. 45 minutes of silence. Teresa sat with her hands cuffed behind her back, staring at the mesh barrier. Her mind went to 1989. Her mother's voice on the phone, terrified, calling from a gas station because ICE had come to their apartment building. Her father hiding in a church basement for 3 days. The fear that shaped her entire childhood, watching her parents jump every time someone knocked on the door. She'd spent 35 years believing that becoming a citizen, becoming a lawyer, becoming successful, meant she'd escape that fear. She was wrong. Her phone buzzed in her purse. She couldn't reach it. The buzzing continued. Text after text. She knew what they said without reading them. Her daughter, her office manager, her clients, everyone seeing the live stream videos that were already going viral. Her daughter's message, if she could have read it, said only 4 words. Mom, it's on the news. The SUV pulled into Chrome Detention Center at 6:47 p.m. Processing took an hour. Fingerprints, photograph, personal items confiscated. Teresa stood in front of the intake officer, a young woman who looked bored, until she pulled up Teresa's information on the Department of Homeland Security database. The officer's face changed. She read the screen twice, then looked up at Teresa, then back at the screen. Ma'am, this says you're a United States citizen, born in Miami. It says you're a licensed attorney, Florida bar active status. Teresa's voice was calm. That's correct. I've been trying to tell Agent Hollis this for the past 2 hours. The officer picked up her phone, called her supervisor. We have a situation. The supervisor arrived 3 minutes later, a man in his 50s who'd worked ICE detention for 20 years. He looked at the screen, looked at Teresa, looked at the screen again. He called Hollis directly. Derek, the system says she's a citizen, licensed attorney. This doesn't match your warrant. Hollis's voice came through the speaker, defensive. Run it again. These immigration lawyers know how to hack databases. They create false records. That's part of their operation. The supervisor's jaw tightened. Derek, this is federal data. Homeland Security, FBI, State Bar. These aren't systems someone hacks. We need to release her. Not until I talk to my director. Keep her there. The supervisor hung up, shook his head. Ma'am, I apologize. This is irregular. We're trying to sort it out. Teresa said nothing. They put her in a holding cell. 8:30 p.m. 6 other women were already there. All Latina, all terrified. 3 of them were actually undocumented, facing deportation. 2 had asylum applications pending. 1 was a legal permanent resident whose green card had expired and she couldn't afford the renewal fee. They recognized Teresa. You're the lawyer from the videos. Teresa nodded. For the next 12 hours, handcuffed in a detention cell, Teresa Ramirez Johnson did what she'd done her entire career. She helped people understand their rights. In Spanish, in English, in whispers, because the guards kept telling them to be quiet. She explained asylum law to the woman whose hearing was in 2 days. She explained renewal procedures to the green card holder. She told the woman facing deportation which forms her family needed to file. Even locked in a cage, she was still a lawyer. At 9:17 p.m., Chief Judge Thomas Patterson's call came through to the ICE Miami Field Office Director. Patterson didn't introduce himself. You have Teresa Ramirez Johnson in detention. Federal attorney, colleague of mine for 8 years, United States citizen. I want her released immediately, and I want to know which agent authorized this arrest. The director, Michael Brennan, pulled up the case file. Judge Patterson, I'm not seeing any check chrome. Arrested 5:30 p.m. today. Body camera footage should be in your system. Brennan found it. Clicked play on Hollis's body camera. Watched Teresa show her passport. Watched Hollis call it fake. Watched the handcuffs click. His face went pale. I'm looking at the footage now. I need 10 minutes to verify, then I'm releasing her personally. Agent Hollis is suspended immediately. Patterson's voice turned to ice. 20 minutes. After that, I'm calling the Miami Herald, the ACLU, and every civil rights attorney I know. Then I'm recommending criminal charges. The call ended. Brennan arrived at Chrome by 10:15 p.m. Teresa was brought from the holding cell at 10:28, 12 hours after arrest. Wrists raw, dress wrinkled, spine straight. Brennan stood in processing, 3 supervisors behind him. Attorney Johnson, on behalf of ICE, I apologize. This was a serious mistake. You're released immediately. We'll return your items and provide transportation. Teresa looked at him, said nothing. Brennan shifted, uncomfortable. We're launching a full investigation. Agent Hollis is suspended. We'll review all protocols. Teresa spoke for the first time in 4 hours. I'll see you in federal court. She walked past him. Within 48 hours, the body camera footage leaked to Miami Herald. Posted online Thursday, 6 a.m. By noon, 8 million views. By evening, every major network. CNN, MSNBC, Fox, Telemundo, Univision. The clip of Hollis saying these documents can be faked while holding Teresa's real passport became a meme. Screenshots everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Young lawyers adding captions, when you show your bar license but ICE says it's fake. POV, you're a U.S. citizen but have an accent. The ACLU released a statement. This is racial profiling caught on camera. American Immigration Lawyers Association called for Hollis's termination and prosecution. National Association of Hispanic Bar Associations filed an amicus brief supporting future litigation. 3 Florida Congress members demanded Justice Department investigation. The footage kept spreading. DHS Inspector General opened investigations 72 hours post-arrest. They pulled Hollis's personnel file. 4 excessive force complaints. 2 dismissed. 2 pending. 1 2021 warning for improper detention during a home raid. Performance reviews noting relies on instinct over procedure. They interviewed Agent Vega under oath. Did Hollis make statements suggesting bias toward Hispanic individuals? Vega hesitated. Answered. He said he could smell illegals. Exact words, multiple times, in vehicles, during operations. Did you report this? No. Why not? He was my team leader. I feared career damage. Investigators pulled every Hollis arrest from 3 years. 67 total. They cross-referenced citizenship. 7 were U.S. citizens or legal permanent residents. All 7 Hispanic surnames. 3 detained over 6 hours before verification. 1 held 3 days. The pattern was clear. March 28th, 2 weeks after Teresa's arrest, ICE issued consequences. Agent Derek Hollis terminated for cause, ineligible for federal law enforcement rehire. Agent Linda Vega transferred to administrative duties, mandatory bias training, permanent file reprimand. Director Michael Brennan, early retirement rather than termination. ICE announced nationwide policy reforms. Agents must verify citizenship through E-Verify and USCIS before detention. Body camera footage reviewed by supervisors within 24 hours. Supervisory approval required for detentions based on appearance or surname. The reforms went into effect April 1st. 200 ICE offices received the new training materials. Teresa's case became the primary example. Was termination enough, or should Agent Hollis face criminal charges for false imprisonment and civil rights violations? Comment below. Let us know what accountability looks like when officers ignore evidence and detain citizens based on assumptions. 3 weeks after her release, Teresa filed a federal lawsuit. Teresa Ramirez Johnson versus United States of America, Agent Derek Hollis and Agent Linda Vega. The complaint was 43 pages. Every page documented with timestamps from body camera footage. The charges violation of Fourth Amendment rights against unreasonable seizure, false arrest, and imprisonment, intentional infliction of emotional distress, deprivation of civil rights under color of law, and discrimination based on national origin. Body camera footage became Exhibit A. When the footage lied in federal court, 8 months later, the jury watched in silence. They watched Teresa show her passport, watched Hollis dismiss it as fake, watched her explain the warrant had the wrong name, the wrong age, watched him handcuff her anyway, watched Maria cry, watched the receptionist call 911, watched 12 people on a Miami street witness a lawyer being arrested for helping immigrants while being assumed to be one herself. The footage was 22 minutes long. No one in the courtroom moved. Teresa testified for a full day. She walked the jury through her life. Her parents fleeing to Miami in 1985, undocumented, terrified. 7 years of fear before they got green cards in 1992. Her decision to become an immigration lawyer because she remembered that fear, wanted to help families like hers. Building her practice over 12 years. 847 successful cases. Pro bono award. Her daughter writing college essays about her grandmother's journey. Then she described March 14th, 2024. I was teaching my client her rights. I told her, if ICE stops, you make sure the warrant has your name. 30 seconds later, I was handcuffed because an agent didn't check if the warrant had my name. Her voice cracked. I was handcuffed in front of my client, a woman who came to me terrified of deportation. She watched the person defending her rights get arrested. What message does that send? She described the 12 hours in the detention cell, the 6 women who recognized her from the viral videos, teaching them asylum law in Spanish while handcuffed. Her daughter's text she couldn't answer, "Mom, it's on the news." My parents called me crying. They said it felt like 1989 again. Like nothing had changed, like 35 years of citizenship meant nothing. I spent my whole life believing that if you followed the law, if you became a citizen, if you contributed to society, you belonged. I was treated like I didn't belong in my own country. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. When they returned, the verdict was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. Damages $8.2 million total. $3.1 million in compensatory damages for emotional distress, violation of constitutional rights, damage to reputation and professional standing. $5.1 million in punitive damages calculated specifically to send a message about the cost of detaining citizens based on surname and appearance without verification. Teresa sat quietly as the foreman read the amount. Her daughter, 17, now held her hand. Her parents sat in the row behind her, tears running down their faces. Maria, her client from that day, sat 3 rows back, finally feeling safe enough to be in a courtroom. The verdict made national news within an hour. DHS issued a nationwide directive the following week. The policy Teresa's case created became mandatory training in over 200 ICE field offices. The body camera footage became the primary example of what not to do. Verify first, detain second. Between 2024 and 2025, Teresa's case was cited in 15 other lawsuits involving wrongful detention of U.S. citizens. Teresa used part of her settlement to establish the Ramirez Foundation for Immigrant Attorney Defense. The foundation provides legal support for immigration lawyers facing ICE harassment or retaliation. In its first year, it defended 34 attorneys and won 28 cases. Teresa still practices immigration law. Same office, same bar license on the wall. Her daughter started at Yale Law School in fall 2025, planning to follow her mother's career. If you believe ICE must verify citizenship before detention, that lawyers defending immigrants deserve protection, and that body cameras save lives when officers are held accountable, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Stories like Teresa's prove that fighting back against injustice can reshape broken systems. Because Teresa's case wasn't unique. In 2023 alone, 674 U.S. citizens were mistakenly detained by ICE, some for days, some for weeks. Tomorrow we'll tell you about a man held for 47 days despite showing his birth certificate 3 times, because the truth captured on camera reminds us that American citizenship must mean something more than a name an officer assumes doesn't belong.